Hey guys, welcome to the Challenge Podcast. I'm Coach Steve.
And I'm Coach Nick, and we're going to be talking about everything fitness, health, and the challenge.
Let's get on with the show.
What's up guys, Coach Steve here and welcome back to another episode of the Challenge Weekly Show. Today we're joined with our co-host, Coach Nick. Nick, how are we doing today?
I'm really well, thanks Coach Steve. It is a cold Melbourne day and I'm ready to go.
It's cold, but it's sunny, Nick. So sun's out, hood's out.
I think it's actually raining, but anyway, maybe we're too far away from each other today to agree on the weather.
I made the cardinal mistake on the weekend, Nick.
What did you do?
I'm a bad parent. So it was my boy's first birthday on the weekend.
Yes.
And we took him to a petting zoo.
Oh,
right?
That's
it was
so
cute.
Nice.
You got to pat a little sheep and a little goat and, see the cow and there was some bunnies and there was some rogue kids that were, pulling the bunnies out of their little hidey spot. It was crazy, right? Anyway, so as Coach Steve is going through packing the car, I pack little baby George a jumper and a jacket and some socks, and we put it all in the car, jump in the car, and as I'm driving there, I'm like, oh crap, I didn't bring a jacket for myself, right? Once we got there, it was 11 degrees or whatever in Melbourne. The sun was out, and we're walking around this petting zoo area. It was an open area, and it was fair to say that it wasn't cold. It wasn't hot, is all I'm going to describe it as. So the moral of the story, Nick, is to bring a jacket, especially when you're outside, and you got to be a good role model to your kid, and always bring a jacket, right?
Definitely. Did you have a t-shirt on, not jumper?
I did have a t-shirt and shorts because I'm crazy.
Can't deal with that. But do you know what? Eventually they go through a phase where they say, I'm not cold, and they won't wear a jacket themselves. And it's freezing outside. They go, I'm not wearing that jacket.
Well, look, it's springtime right now, so I'm hoping that it gets a little bit warmer, and especially as we transition through the end of this challenge, Nick, because we are in week 10, only a couple more weeks left, and then we transition through our voting phase, and we go through our judging phase, then we announce our winners, and then we're getting ready for the next challenge. Ooh. So let's talk about the next challenge, Nick.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm excited already for that one.
The next challenge will be kicking off towards the end of October. So we're starting on the 24th of October. So prep week will begin on the 17th of October, so 24th of October, and it will be the M Challenges, with a S on it, M Challenges first 6-week challenge. So the first 6-week challenge for the M Challenge will be kicking off on October the 24th. And we're really excited about this because we had some really great success with the first Max and Maxine 6-week challenge last year, towards the end of last year. So if you enjoyed that 6-week version, we're now repeating it in the M Challenge. And it's really great. This 6-week is condensed, it's shortened, mainly because it's less of a commitment, right? So it's not like you're signing up to the challenge and it's a 12-week, oh my God, this is long, this is a big slog. And you get to that 6-week mark and you're kind of dragging your heels, being like, oh, it's not exciting anymore. If you're in and out 6 weeks, either on a strict weight loss phase or a strict weight gain phase for 6 weeks, that's something you can commit to. It's a really great way to structure your programming long term, like maybe viewing it in 6 weeks blocks, being like, okay, this 6 weeks I'm going to build muscle, this 6 weeks I'm going to try to lose body fat, this 6 weeks I'm going to maintain it, and I'm going to cycle that again. The next 6 weeks, I'm going to try to gain a bit of weight. The next 6 weeks, I'm going to try to lose a little bit of weight. And the next 6 weeks, I'm going to maintain that. And if you cycle through those 3 phases over and over again, it's a great time to continue to develop your physique over a long period of time, right?
Yeah, I think that's really good. And I think particularly if you're a bit scared to eat in a calorie surplus and gain some muscle and a little bit of body fat, 6 weeks is a really good kind of safety net amount of time where nothing too bad can happen and you can have a good time and see how you go.
That's right. It's like dipping your toes in the water of a weight gain phase, because most weight gain phases are like that 6 to 18 weeks long, sometimes a little bit longer. But as you progress further into 18 weeks mark, that's when you start to slowly gain that body fat, be a little bit fluffy, and you're like, oh, I'm not really comfortable with this. That 6 week can be a great time to dip your toes in the water to gain some weight. Or if you want to get really shredded for summer, it is a perfect time. 6 weeks, you can lose a whole load of body weight and, reveal the abs as we roll into that Christmas time and that New Year's time and the summertime.
I know, what perfect timing for this one, because you'll be shredded for Christmas.
Yeah. shredded for the Christmas Sunday roast. It'll be great.
I know, and then you can have a nice little diet break for Christmas. Have some pudding. I'll have it anyway, to be honest. I'm starving. I want some pudding.
Well, look, Nick, let's bring it back to this 10-week challenge. Our current challenge at the moment, the very first M challenge, and I want to run through some key important dates super quickly. So firstly, we're in week 10. You will be able to upload your final photo from the end of this month. So from the 30th of September, you'll be able to upload your final photo. So for that final photo, you do need a completion document, which you can access via the M Challenge app from Friday, the 30th of September, or a newspaper where we can see the date on the newspaper, and that is be a paper newspaper. So no digital newspapers or anything like that. So we just need to be able to see either the entry document or a valid newspaper, and that you'll be able to upload your completion photo from Friday, the 30th of September. And then you have up until Tuesday, the 4th of October to upload that. So there's a number of days. You've got Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So 5 days to upload that final photo. So you may want to finish the challenge all the way to Sunday and you take your photo on the Monday and upload it, or maybe even you sneak in an extra training day on the Monday and you upload it on the Tuesday, or maybe you take a photo every day, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and you pick the best photo that you want to upload to your final completion photo. Okay, so that would be the end of the challenge, which will be the final photo phase. Okay, the challenge officially ends on the 2nd of October. So that's Sunday, the 2nd of October. And you have access to the M Challenge app for 2 weeks after that. So you have access to the M Challenge app up until the 16th of October. Then you will no longer be able to log into the M Challenge app unless you sign up for our next challenge, which will begin on the 24th of October. So if you do sign up for the next challenge, you can just continue to use the app. However, you'll be prompted to choose which challenge you want to log into, either the current challenge or your next challenge. You'll have the option to log into both of those challenges. Okay.
Yeah, so exciting as the app evolves and that sort of stuff starts to happen as well. And you can really interact with it and, be across everything. It's very exciting.
It's very cool. Yeah. Then we move into our public voting phase. So public voting starts on the 5th. So Wednesday, the 5th of October until Sunday, the 9th of October. And you'll get given 5 votes for male and 5 votes for female. So you have 10 votes total, 5 for male, 5 for female, and you'll get to vote for your favorite transformation. And that's all done within the app, which is really cool. So once we get into that phase, you'll be able to just click in the announcement section on the home tab, a little button, it'll take you to public voting. It's also a link, so we'll be sharing that across social medias and via email and all the things. You'll be able to click that link and go and vote for your favorite transformation. Next, we have the top 50, which is being announced on Wednesday, the 12th of October. And then we have our awards night on Friday, the 14th of October, which will be live streamed to our Facebook social hub, where Coach Nick and I will be announcing the very first winners of the M Challenge. So Nick, there are some exciting dates ahead of us. Lots happening over September and October. Lots to keep us busy, right?
Oh, absolutely. I was just thinking maybe we should have an M theme dress up for our awards night. So other than wearing our M Challenge uniforms, something that you have to dress as something that starts with an M, like a mushroom or something.
A mushroom. Yeah, okay.
I'm already dressed like one.
Yeah, I guess I'll have to dress up as Mario.
Oh my gosh, perfect.
Yeah, playing some Super Mario, eating my mushrooms, right?
There you go. Yes. I'm so glad that you know that. Is that still around?
Oh, yeah. Mario across Nintendo is huge.
Oh, good. I mean, because I used to play it, and Coach Steve, this was in the 80s. Now, were you baby, or you weren't around, were you?
I was not around in the 80s.
You weren't even baby. So Super Mario was, way back.
Yeah. No, I'm a 93 baby, Nick.
Oh gosh, baby. Coach Steve, there's so much knowledge in that brain for being so small.
So small, yes. Nick, other exciting news here is if you caught it at the tail end of last week's podcast, or you've been on the M Challenge app or onto our Facebook social hub or anywhere across social media, we have launched the first M Challenge merchandise store. So it's separate to our supplement store, separate shop, and we have partnered with fit print. So we were looking for a supplier, and we didn't want to go and source any, overseas manufacturer or any sort of like dodgy thing or anything like that. We wanted to support an Australian clothing line, which is Fitprint. They source their own t-shirts and hoodies and shorts and all the apparel, and they sent us a bunch of apparel, and I thought this was really great, in the quality of like my Lululemon shorts were these shorts that they gave me. I loved it, and we partnered with them. So if you'd like to purchase some M Challenge CrossFit Print merchandise, you can head on over to the M Challenge app. You probably find the link in the announcements, or across our social medias, or just reach out to us and we'll send you that link so you can go ahead and purchase yourself some sweet M Challenge gear.
100%. And also, I just can't wait to find out who's going to be the first person to wear the M leggings.
My leggings, Nick.
Yes. Girl or boy, man or woman, it doesn't matter. Just, bring it on. Somebody buy them and show us what they look like.
Yeah, so let us know if you do buy something. We want to see it. So once you get any merchandise, you can tag us on social medias. So M Challenge on Instagram, or if you're on our Facebook social hub, post about it. We'd love to see you rocking the M Challenge gear.
Oh, 100%. I can't wait.
Nick, let's move on to our community highlights, where we're going to highlight some members of our community over the past week. So Nick, take us away. Who would you like to highlight?
Okay, so first up, I've got Tammy Denning. Now, Tammy is very active on our Facebook group and likes to share, which we love. So she's got a Throwback Thursday, and she said, the first pick is myself in my early 20s, so young, trying to find yourself and figure out who you are. Somewhat into exercise and healthy habits, but not enough to really care much. Second picture is me now in my late 30s, maybe 17 years between pictures. All I can say, the older you get, the more you realize how important it is to lead a healthy and active life for your future self and your aging years, and process will thank you for it so much. So I love this because that's the thing that sometimes we forget to talk about, which is so important, that strength training, being healthy, is so important for your older years, so you can get up and down from a chair, so you can climb the stairs in your house if you've got them, so you can be independent, so you can feel good. Amazing. Yeah,
no, I agree. There's this one short video, it goes maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and it often makes its rounds around social medias, and it's a video of this older man, and he's a little bit like older and frail, and he sees a photo of his grandson, and then he starts his little like fitness journey where he dusts off like this kettlebell in his garage, and he starts like picking it up and stuff like that. And then his neighbors start seeing him, this old crazy man like working out in his garage. And then the final scene of the little clip, again, it only goes for like 2 or 3 minutes, is, his grandson comes into the room at like Christmas time, and he bends down to pick up his son and grandson and pick him up over his head, just like he'd been practicing with the kettlebell. And it's one of those things that's like, I'm not crying, you're crying type thing. It's really emotional. But it really highlights that, exercise can mean lots of different things. Within the challenge, we are focusing on trying to, lose body fat and build muscle. We're trying to improve our body composition, but fitness, or the readiness to complete a task, is super important, especially as we age and we go through the normal process of losing muscle, which happens with age. So sarcopenia, that we slowly lose muscle mass, lose strength, lose capacity. We're unable to have our normal function of life. So prioritizing fitness now is a way that we can make it to our old age and be able to play with our grandkids.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely fantastic. Number one priority, I think.
Number one.
Mm-hmm. So the next one we've got is Jet Trembath. Now, Jet's a dark horse. I hadn't seen Jet before. I wonder if he's related to Benson. But anyway, Jet comes out of the woodwork looking awesome and goes, enjoying the first 8 weeks of the challenge so far. It started off difficult to train legs due to rupturing my ACL for the 3rd time. So that's a lot. But I have persisted and started to build some strength back. Good on you, Jet. Looking forward to the pointy end of the challenge and how much more my body will change. Keep up the good work, legends. So how good's that?
That's awesome. So good, Jet. Yeah, it must be related to Benson Trembath, one of our previous top 3 finalists. The Max's challenge, yeah.
Yeah, and you can relate to that, can't you? Because, it's better to just keep going when you have these injuries or, you know, things that happen to you. And that's how you actually get stronger rather than stopping altogether or avoiding movements.
That's right, absolutely. And you know, Jed, I relate to that because I've ruptured my ACL, my right ACL when I was 18. It took me until I was about 23 to figure out it was my ruptured ACL. So I got misdiagnosed a bunch of times, and you know, I was running on it, I was squatting on it, I was deadlifting, doing all the good stuff on it. And I know that one of the highest risk factors for ACL rupture is a previous ACL rupture. So Jet, the third time rupturing his ACL, so a much higher risk factor for rupturing his ACL. Could be genetic factors, could be lifestyle factors, whatever factors it is, he's working through those limitations. And an ACL, or the anterior cruciate ligament, you know, you can survive a really long time. Some people opt to never get it reconstructed because it's not super important if you are not playing like change of direction sports. So if you are, you know, just running in a straight line, like, you know, marathon running or whatever, or lifting weights, you know, you're moving in a straight line, you're fine. But if you're playing change of direction sports, you may benefit from, you know, a little bit of that ligament roll, which is stopping the shin from sliding forward and coming out of your body, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, so Jet, great job. Keep training hard, and we're excited to see what you can do over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have a look out for you. Okay, Adriana Cullen. Here we go. Week 8 check-in. Yes, a bit late. I know, subtle changes, but that's okay. At this stage, my body isn't going to see massive changes without huge effort and precision in both nutrition and training. I realize that, and I'm content. With my personal time constraints, I'm happy at this stage. I turn 40 in 6 weeks, so I really want to go on to this new decade feeling great. I've loved seeing you guys on your own personal journeys. It's getting to the pointy end of the challenge. Exciting times for sure. So Adriana is one of our ambassadors. And what I really like about this, apart from, you know, the 40, whatever, that's fine, 40 years old, yay, good on you. But my favorite thing is where she is realistic about her changes, because she knows that it's really about the amount of effort that you are willing to put in as to what you'll get back. And sometimes in life, you do want to just go along, and that is also fine, because once you've got the strategy and you understand that, you can make little tiny changes. And she looks amazing, but without having to put yourself into a massive deficit or struggle when you've got other priorities as well. So that's realistic, it's sustainable, and I like it.
Yeah, I like this a lot, and I think it just highlights that kind of concept of like personal responsibility. Like, you know, if you are trying to lose weight and you're losing weight, great, you know, own that. If you are trying to gain muscle or gain weight, you know, own that. But if you are accepted that, hey, you know, this isn't a priority right now, but it's a high priority, you know, priority number 2, because I'm, you know, got work things on or family things on or, you know, other lifestyle things happening, but it's still like a priority-ish for me, you know, maybe number 2. I can still tinker along, but acknowledge that, hey, you know, I might not achieve these really drastic, amazing results, but I've accepted the level of responsibility that, you know, for my results. You know, this is the effort, a direct relationship between my effort and the output that I've accomplished from here. So Adriana really highlights that. And there's nothing wrong with tinkering along, right? There's nothing wrong with maintaining and, you know, making sure that exercise is a part of our day-to-day life. And it doesn't need to be this kind of all or nothing mindset, which in a way we do promote in the challenge. It's a competition at the end of the day. But for lifestyle purposes, we need to acknowledge that, hey, we are okay with just, you know, plodding along, getting the work done, and not seeing really super dramatic changes over time.
Yeah, I like it. And personal responsibility is so important.
Nick, I'd like to highlight a few people today. So the first one here goes out to Robin Sack. Now, Robin has been a long-time challenger in previous versions of the challenge, in the Max and Maxine challenge, and has had her own challenges with the challenge. And she writes, definitely had a slow start to this challenge. COVID and post-viral illness, and not 100% at all on nutrition, but I've learned from previous challenges how to maintain and love the ease of go-to pre-prepped foods after gym and training. I am on the GAIN program, which has been difficult after so much weight loss after last year, on 4 challenges with a weight loss of 17 kilos. I've gained, yay, 2 kilos. I know we usually don't celebrate that as females, but mindset is different now, all due to M Challenge, and I want strength and muscles as I age. Congratulations, Robin. I think you really highlighted that mindset shift, which are coming across many challenges, many fitness enthusiasts, and particularly many women who want to be strong, not skinny, who want to build muscle and build strength, and not just focusing on losing weight. And that mindset shift has changed from losing 17 kilos last year and now gaining 2 kilos. So big congratulations to Robin.
Yeah, that's right. And you've highlighted brilliantly, Robin, that you just can't keep going in one direction forever. You have to pivot and be good with it.
Unless you're a boy band, Nick.
Oh, true. Yeah. You've got that one thing. Are they still together though?
No idea. No idea.
We don't know.
Is Harry Styles, is he one of them?
Well, yes, but I don't think that, I know that he does solo stuff. I should ask my daughters.
Yeah.
They're not here. They're at
One
school,
Direction's still a thing.
Fantastic. It's really good that they're at school today. So I'm
Nick,
winning.
The next one here goes to Anita Bertolini. And Anita, we highlighted her about 6-7 weeks ago, and she's smashing it. So she's doing a really great job getting the work done and seeing some great transformation so far. So Anita writes, "Okay, M fam, I wasn't going to do a post, but I've come a long way in 8 short weeks. I'm so happy with my progress, amazed at my physical changes, and I've lost about 8 kilos so far on moderate weight loss program. Still a long way to go, but this is a great start. Week one felt like a nightmare. Seeing those photos was like a slap in the face, but the dream is almost in sight and I can't be more excited. Reading all the comments, seeing all your posts and progress photos is so motivating. Keep going. Helps a lot knowing I'm not alone." And Anita really highlights it here where, 8 weeks goes by really quick, and, we're in week 10 now. So she's, seen some great results over that time period, and I'm sure she's seeing some even more results as we move into this kind of magical phase where everything's just wrapping up in the challenge and we get to see some amazing transformations come out. And number 2 is that, Anita, you're not alone. Like everybody else, we're all in this journey together, and we all have our ups and downs, and we can lean on each other to help motivate us through these tougher times. So congratulations to Anita.
Yeah, I love the positivity with this. Positive, not toxic positivity, but actual positivity where you're highlighting all the good things. Sometimes we forget that this is actually meant to be a little bit of fun as well. It's not supposed to be torture. We're not in the Tower of London.
I like it. Okay.
Yeah.
Nick, last one here I want to highlight goes to Beth Bates. And Beck writes, "Can't believe there is only 4 weeks to go. I've been going really well with my gym workouts. Need to improve on my 10,000 steps a day, and be very strict with my weighing of my foods. I found this challenge quite fun, actually. I would love a chocolate bar right now. Who else would?" I love that, Beck. And I like this because, again, taking a little bit of personal responsibility from Beck. She's reflected and she's highlighted that she's doing really well in her gym workouts. She can improve her step count, aiming for that 10,000 steps a day. And she can continue to be stricter with weighing her own foods. Maybe, she's being a little bit heavy handed with some of the food items as she's weighing it out. So Beck, thanks for being honest with us. And I think as you be honest with yourself, right? The only person you're lying to is yourself. That's when you could find ways to improve and find that weak point and get better over time. So Beck, keep going. Remember that you can have a chocolate bar if you like. The Maxine Burn bars are really super tasty and it fits nicely into your plan. It's all about portion control. So instead of completely restricting yourself and abstaining from things like a chocolate bar, I bet that chocolate bar looks tastier and tastier by the day. And if you give into the temptations, that one chocolate bar there's a high chance it won't stop at one. It might end up being 5 chocolate bars at once, which will be more of a problem than if you just have one chocolate bar and be on your way. So Beck, congratulations, and a big congratulations to all of our community highlights this week.
Yeah, thanks for being so positive, everybody. It's wonderful to see. I love it. Good on you.
Nick, let's move on to our next segment here. We have the Coach's Corner where we offer our tip for the week. So Nick, take us away. What advice would you like to give for us?
I just want to chat to you guys about my gym rituals. Just how do I warm up? How long do I take to warm up? And do I do cardio and why? Now, I change with the tide depending on what my goal and focus is. So speaking now, I actually do some cardio, but I'll chat about that in a second. So how do I warm up? Do you know what's really funny, Coach Steve? This has always been the case for me, perhaps because I've been influenced by some great coaches that love to just lift weights. I warm up with the movement pattern and barbell pattern of the particular exercise I'm going to be doing. So for me, I don't even hop on a treadmill or do anything other than just rock up and find my spot, whether it's on the deadlift platform or whether it's in the squat rack. And I will warm up with the empty bar first. So that's my very, very first thing. And before that, if it's deadlifting, I will remove my shoes. I can't help myself. And I just don't want any shoes on, so I'll take them off. If it's squats, I will put on my heel raised squat shoes. And depending on what's going on, I might also wrap my knees up, not wrap them up, just put my knee sleeves on. I'm finding just as I drop body fat as well, it helps me just to keep my insides inside and not for nothing to fall out. I will then do the empty bar. So I tend to do that for around about like 12 reps or so, and that allows me to really feel what's going on in my body for that particular day. So I don't know if this is an oldie thing or it's just a training thing, but different days bring on different feelings for your body. You could go, oh, I feel very tight there, or my knee isn't feeling the best today, or I might change my stance a little bit, or I might need to work on my depth a bit more today, that sort of thing. Or, oh gosh, I've got to watch out that I don't, say in a squat, bend over too much because I might be fatigued. So that's how I assess what's going on. Then I don't make any silly decisions about what I'm going to be doing until I do around about 50% of my 1RM. I'll play around with that. So when I say play around, I'll do 10 reps of that, and then I might just move just a little bit more weight and do a 12 rep set. And then after that, I'll have a little bit of a just like what is it? It's not reconnaissance, it's something else of the gym.
Reconnaissance.
That's the one. Reconnaissance. Reconnaissance of the gym. See what's going on. And then I will start to work on my working sets. The other thing that I might also do, and this does depend, is I might do one rep that's just a little bit heavier than what I'm going to work with. So I do that, and I just see what's going on, and apparently that primes your CNS, but I don't know exactly, because you'll be able to tell me that if that's true. But I do that as well, and then I start to work. So for me, how long does that take? It's probably, I don't really time it, but I'd say it's probably 10 to 12, maybe even 15 minutes of that kind of a thing, and then I start to work. And the work probably takes, the same amount of time, probably a little bit longer than that, depending on my rests. And I'm very much like you, that I don't stress over making rests short or anything like that. I very much will listen to what's going on in my body and, rest for what I need to rest for. Like, my days are over of trying to be a hero or thinking that shorter rest times make a difference, to fat loss or something like that. That doesn't work like that. Now with the cardio, at the moment, it's not a lot of fun, because I have to do, not only do I have to do my steps, but because I'm very close to competition, I also have to do, it's just increased now to around about 1 hour. Well, it's not around about, it is 1 hour of extra cardio on a machine of my choice, because I'm good with cardio machines. I can choose, because I'm responsible. I'm a responsible human being. So the worst one in the whole wide world is the StairMaster. And so I choose the StairMaster. I choose it. And it wears me out. So that needs to be after training, if I can, if I have time, if it fits into my day. And if someone else helps to take the kids to school or something like that, then that can all happen. Otherwise, sometimes I need to compromise and maybe do something before the training, but that I wouldn't suggest that. I think it's really good if you're going to do any fatiguing type of cardio to do it after your weights. And it actually feels really good because you know that you've done what you really need to do. So always weight training comes first. Especially for me, that I'm trying to preserve as much muscle as I can. I don't want to be just going in and becoming a real cardio bunny. So I do use chalk. I went away over COVID a little bit, so we've all got our own liquid chalk. I use that. I do use straps for many lifts now. I've stopped being a hero for everything. And yeah, I also just really am trying to just work on the classic stuff, which is, you know, that range of motion and just really trying to feel each lift now and not rush myself.
I like Nick. That's some great gym rituals, and it sounds similar to approaches that I take, where I don't necessarily do any specific or long, elaborate warm up. Most of my warm up is setting up my gym, which is warming up my body, and then I would do a few practice sets of however many reps I feel like doing, but you know, of a low level of effort. So maybe like a 5 out of 10 effort. So that might be, you know, 50% my weight or whatever it is for a few reps or something, and then, you know, getting into some work. So I do think that long, elaborate warm-ups or cool downs just take away from more meaningful tasks. Like if you spend I don't know, half an hour warming up, you're probably pretty tired to put any effort into your actual working set. And if you are short on time and you have a half an hour warm up, well, you know, there's your time gone. But Nick, you know, as you get closer to competition, you mentioned you're doing a bit more cardio. But you know, why are you choosing to do more cardio? Like, what's the rationale behind it?
Well, look, the thing is, because I don't want my calories to go too low. They're fairly low, but like, let's say quote unquote low for my, my specific needs. I choose to expend energy rather than dip into eating less. I would choose cardio because also I've got a soft spot for it. We know that. So I would prefer to do that over dropping calories drastically low. So that's my choice, really. And and also because I've got only a little while to go, I know that I can unleash the beast, because that's one of my aces that's up my sleeve that we haven't really touched, like we haven't really used, which is my epic ability to be an endurance fiend. And, you know, when I think I'm about to die, I rise up again. So that's just, it's not healthy, Coach Steve. None of this is healthy. This pointy end is not necessarily healthy. But at the same time, what's really exciting is it's improving my endurance now for then if I go into doing, well, the plan is to do the Ironman. So I should actually be pretty sweet. So that works quite well. I'll be lighter and feeling good.
No, I like it. And you said you're choosing to do an hour of cardio. Was that every day you said?
5 times a week at the moment.
5 times a week. And that
if I can fit it in, like say, you know, tomorrow we're in the office all day. So it's going to be a little bit hard to do all the steps plus the 1 hour plus. So, you know, I'll have to just maybe borrow that from another day or that sort of thing.
Yeah. And are you randomly choosing what machine to do? Or is there like more of a structure behind that?
Well, we only have, you know, I've got an elliptical at my house. So if I'm doing, I've got a spin bike at my house, but because I'm still unfortunately very efficient at the spin bike, my body just doesn't really, it just takes a lot. It takes a lot of effort for me to sort of expend a lot of energy on that spin bike. So I sort of try to avoid the spin bike. And then it just really comes down to choice. You know, if I could really choose something, I'd probably not for an hour, but I'd go a rower, because I reckon that they're an awesome bang for buck. But I can't even be bothered trying to find somewhere that's got a rower and do all that just for that. So the StairMaster's one that's I find it very challenging for myself. So I quite like it. That's the only reason. It's not superior. In fact, people say that it's pretty crappy. especially around leg day. But I quite like it. I like the endorphins.
No, that's very cool. All right, well, a few more questions. If you are, selecting your exercise, your cardio equipment, a bit more like ad hoc or whatever you kind of feel like, how are you measuring the differences between each machine? Like, if you're walking on a treadmill versus spinning your legs on a bike, which you said was really easy for you, versus like a rower, how are you rating your energy expenditure across the different machines? Is it like a self-perceived,
well,
effort? Like,
I do have a specific heart rate that I've got to maintain. So I've got, for me, it's between 130 to 140. So it's sort of moderate. So there's that. There's also, I've got a Garmin. So I look at energy expenditure on there, but not in terms of being able to eat that back or anything. It's just that because it's something that I do regularly, I can sort of see how there are different spikes in it. So I take that into account as well. And I think also just the amount of time. And I think really I do listen to my body. So there's a certain level of fatigue that I like to reach, and where I know that I've sort of completed it. But after an hour of anything, you're going to feel that. So that's pretty straightforward. But yeah, I usually just keep my heart rate in a certain zone. So I try not to go over about 140.
Yeah. No, I like that. Well, this goes out to anybody listening to the podcast. If you wanted to, firstly, if you are stuck at like this plateau, or you're trying to continue to see weight loss, and you have that choice either to increase energy expenditure or decrease your energy intake. Decrease your energy intake as in eat less food, or increase your energy expenditure, do more activity. You could, in any sort of way, increase your step count. And that's a really easy way to measure something. I've done 8,000 steps, 10,000 steps, 12,000 steps. But when we start talking about cardio, it starts to get trickier to compare it and measure it the same way. Similar to my mini interrogation of Coach Nick here, where we go, okay, well, how do we compare spinning your legs on a bike to walking on a StairMaster to doing a rower versus just walking outside? Like, how do we measure those things? Because they all have different energy expenditure per minute. And if you're judging it off, an hour on a rower is going to be very different to, walking an hour on a treadmill at, 3 kilometers an hour. They're very different experiences. So we can measure it on like a qualitative analysis, like you're suggesting, like, oh yeah, I get to a point where I feel it, you rate it out of 1 to 10, it's probably around this 8, like an 8 out of 10 effort, right? You can measure it via your heart rate. So that's another way to perceive effort. I'm staying around this heart rate for this amount of time, regardless of what activity I'm doing. Or 3, you could use tools like an activity tracker, maybe not, counting those numbers exactly, but, if you use the same tool over time, even if that tool is slightly incorrect, it gives us a good trend. So if you know that across these days or across the week, I'm expending this much extra energy through these cardio endeavors, then that can tip the balance of my energy intake versus my energy expenditure, which sounds like you've got it all mapped out, Nick, perfectly. 1, from a measuring side of things, but then 2, just from experience from having done it before. So dear challenger, if you are wishing to introduce some cardio, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just we need to approach it in an intelligent way. And often the easiest way to measure it is via our step count as a means to measure our energy expenditure. Yeah.
And also, just as an aside, when I do say the StairMaster for, say, an hour, the machine says, oh, I've done close to 1,000 calories. Now, my actual Garmin says that that's more like 500. So don't forget that if you're measuring particular calories from a machine, unless you're doing it just to get a figure of, what level you've worked at, it's probably going to be a little bit flawed there, because they must assume that you're a 98 kilo man or something. I don't know what they assume on that machine, but it wasn't accurate for me.
Hey, Nick, there's nothing wrong with a 98 kilo man, huh?
That's you, yes. Because you would expend, I reckon, 1,500 calories if you were on that StairMaster for an hour.
Yeah, I'm unsure. But we'll have to use some very expensive machinery to measure how much calories I expend per hour.
I know. And the thing is, yeah, there's no need to even get into that because that's actually completely irrelevant. But when you're desperate in the cardio zone and there's nothing else and you just want to get it done, those numbers become quite important, just because there's something to look at. So much fun.
No, so good, Nick. No, thank you for sharing your gym rituals.
Thanks for asking me questions about them.
Nick, I would like to talk about the concept of if you're not slowing down, you're not growing. If you're not slowing down, you're not growing. And what does this mean? I'm talking about velocity. I'm talking about weightlifting. I'm talking about hypertrophy. Okay, so big words. Let's break them down. What do they mean? And how is this tip something that you can apply right now? Okay, so firstly, story time. Story time. I'm often finding myself in the gym, and I often find myself watching people lift. Okay, I try to do it in a non-creepy way, but through my training as an osteopath, I see people lift, I see shoulders, I see hips. I'm like, oh wow, that's really mobile. It's really amazing. Look at that strength. Look at the way that person moves. Great. And one thing I find is that individuals are often not taking their working sets to a position where they are meeting an overload stimulus. Okay, an overload stimulus is the stimulus that we are aiming for to reach a hypertrophy response. Hypertrophy means when muscle grows. So we are trying to apply within a set a stimulus onto our body that stimulates muscle growth. Okay, and we do that and we call that the overload stimulus. Okay, how do we know we've reached an overload stimulus? Well, we want to be training close to failure. So close to a point where our muscle can no longer contract anymore. And we want to be training close to that failure within 2 repetitions. Now, as we get closer to failure, we start utilizing more and more muscle fibers to complete the action. Okay, so within a muscle, we have 2 types of fibers. We have the fast twitch fibers. So these are the strong, powerful, big bang, cannon-like muscles. And then we have the slow twitch fibers, which these muscles are like the marathon runner. They're just chugging along, chug. Not as powerful as our big fast twitch fibers. Maybe a better analogy would be like a sprinter. Fast twitch, bang, and then they kind of fatigue quickly. Slow twitch muscle fibers, they can go. They take a long time to fatigue, but maybe not as powerful. Okay, so each one of our muscles has a blend between fast twitch and slow twitch muscles. So as we get closer to failure, our fast twitch muscles fatigue, our slower twitch muscles take over. And what happens is we start to get weaker as we get closer to failure. And we've all experienced this. If you train to true failure, you're doing bicep curls, train, bicep curl. As you get closer to the very end, you'll notice that you feel weaker, it becomes harder, and the weight starts slowing down. You can't be as quick, which is what we measure velocity. So velocity on the load. Okay, so main takeaway that I want to highlight is that if you're not slowing down when you're lifting, so if you are doing bicep curls, you're doing bicep curls really quickly and there's no change in the speed of doing your bicep curls, you're not growing. Okay. If you are not slowing down, you are not getting close to an overload stimulus and you are not stimulating hypertrophy. I'm being really specific here about the process of building muscle. If you are trying to gain strength, you probably don't want to be slowing down and changing velocity too much. Because you get to a point where you can't complete the rep if you are moving too slowly, right? And especially within powerlifting, the velocity is much slower than in normal weightlifting because you've got a lot of load. And if you reduce your velocity any lower, you're not going to complete the exercise. Imagine deadlifting and you've got such a low velocity that bar isn't even coming off the ground, right? So within bodybuilding, within hypertrophy work, within building muscle, we need to be training to a point where we reach overload, where we get close to failure. And the best way to measure that is when the reps start slowing down. So if you want a way today to start measuring, how am I reaching that overload stimulus, you can either, while you're exercising, take note of how quickly you're moving, or number 2, if you watch a video of yourself, you'll notice that the first repetition is of a certain speed. Let's say that's 100% of your effort. And then as you progress through your reps, let's say rep number 5, you start seeing the weight slow down a little bit. Rep number 6, 7, 8, the weight slows down. And as you get closer to failure, let that be 10 reps, 12 reps, 15 reps, 20 reps, whatever repetition you're doing, we want to see that the load starts slowing down. You physically can't move that barbell fast enough. And that is a great way to highlight that your fast twitch muscles have fatigued, the slow twitch muscles are starting to fatigue. You have reached a point of fatigue where you're close to failure. Okay. And if there's anything you take away, heck, you could even start lifting weights and not even counting the reps. You just lift weights into a point where things slow down, where it becomes hard, things slow down, and that maybe final rep that you stopped at maybe took twice as long to complete than the first repetition. So if you were able to get a little stopwatch and count, the first rep of bicep curls takes you, 0.2 seconds. Then the final rep of your bicep curl, it takes 0.1 seconds. Great. You have successfully slowed down while you're lifting because you have experienced fatigue, and then you have successfully reached an overload stimulus where you see that muscle growing. The caveat here, Nick, is that you can't just slow down. It's an easy way to cheat the system where you do the first rep fast and the second rep slow, and you're like, I reached an overload stimulus, I've beaten the system. No. We want to be training with intent, and that intent, we experience the fatigue onset, which slows down our movement. So the main takeaway is if you're not slowing down, you're not growing. And if you are, doing a single arm dumbbell row and it looks like you're starting a lawnmower and you're doing the lawnmower pulls all day, you're not really training your back. You're just doing movement. We want to be slowing down with our lifts.
Definitely. And if you've experienced that feeling, you can't really fake it.
That's right. And it goes back to like the pumping iron type videos. You see Arnie, he's doing bicep curls, and then the last couple of reps, he's like he's really struggling, and then he's really like slowly lifting that dumbbell. He's like Arnie bicep curl. That is what we're trying to experience. We're trying to experience not the part. We're trying to experience the slowing down of the barbell, where we are building that fatigue in our muscle bellies, where it can no longer contract, and we experience a slowdown. So if you are experiencing the slowdown, ticking all the boxes, you're reaching an overload stimulus.
It's good that you mentioned bicep curls, because for me, that's one that I slow down fairly quickly on. Mm-hmm. I just have not got very strong biceps. I'm working on it, but goodness me, I feel it's probably one of my weakest body parts, I'd have to say.
Yeah, well, look, we all experience slowdown in different ways, especially across different muscle groups. So some muscle groups, you hit the wall where, it's like bang, 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 boom, right? And you hit the wall and you can't complete another repetition. Whereas others, it's like bang, 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 bang. You kind of slow down, you get the grind. Like, when you train your legs, if you're on a leg press, you can grind out reps for a while, grind. You're slowing down, but you can continue to kind of grind through it. Whereas like on a bench press, you might be like, bop, bop, bop. And then, you get to like rep number 7 of 10 and you're like, bang, you just hit a wall and you can't progress. That speaks a little bit more about technical proficiency and, other contributing muscles, and, you might have misgrooved or whatever type thing. But, we all have our own unique experiences to things like that. But no, good. Nick, let's move on to our final segment here. We have our question and answer. Okay, so the first question here comes from Andrew on the forum, and he writes, barbell deficit deads. What is meant to be achieved by doing a barbell deficit deadlift? So Nick, tell us, why would we choose to use a deficit when completing a deadlift?
Well, firstly, it increases your range of motion. So that means that it actually makes it a little bit harder. So when you go back to doing your normal deadlift after practicing with that, you'll find that. So I'll just say a little story. Way back when I was learning to deadlift, I've done a lot of deadlifting, and I got to a pretty sticky point. I think it was about 130 kilos, and I was very scared of it at the time and things. So what we did was we regressed it and made it, rather than me lifting 130, it was probably about, I'm guessing maybe about 110. It was a lighter weight. And I practiced doing that from a deficit, standing on just a plate. And it actually increased my strength in my entire, let's say, posterior chain, glutes, hamstrings, quads. Your quads burn doing them. And then when I actually went back to the 130, it was a piece of cake. So I am all for deficit deadlifts. I know them as accessories to sort of powerlifting. You know, it's something that you use to really increase that pull off the floor, and even help with the velocity of that pull off the floor. So if you're super slow at pulling, it can actually help you with that as well. That sort of really sticky point. I don't know if you've ever felt that, audience, people, listeners, but where you are pulling off the floor and there's that little point where it's either going to come up or it's not. And if you can sort of slightly get it off the floor, but you can't convert it, it's a deficit deadlift is a really good accessory exercise to help you convert it into a deadlift. And also, I must just say, another one of my favorites is a snatch grip deficit deadlift as well, and they're really good for your lats and back and posterior chain. I just bloody love deficit deadlifts. I haven't done one for a while, and because I am quite tall, the range of motion required. Are we the same height?
Yeah, I think I'm a little bit taller, but
you're a little bit taller, but yeah, that really makes me into a giraffe deadlifting. So it feels pretty good, and when you go back to your normal, it's amazing.
Yeah, deficit deadlifts, they're a great accessory in powerlifting. Within bodybuilding, if it was a true deadlift, I would say that it changes the target muscle. So I would say like a true deadlift would be primarily like a glute-based exercise. However, if you add the deficit, you're in a little bit more hip flexion. So you get a little bit more of that hamstring stretch. So then it turns it into a little bit more of a hamstring dominant deadlift in that first phase, like that pull off the floor. So often people use a deficit deadlift within the hypertrophy world to train the hamstrings more, whereas an accessory within powerlifting, it's a bit more of a technical proficiency, like you said, Nick, helping with that pull off the floor and engaging through that whole posterior chain. So I think the main takeaway is that a deficit anything adds more range of motion. It's anything. So that can change some target muscles, but it can be a great way to add variety. So if you're doing lots of deadlifts, you're doing the same movement pattern, a great way to overload. But doing that over 10 years of deadlifts every day, we need a little bit of a different stimulus. So by changing the deadlift into something fresh, like a deficit deadlift or something, that can be enough of variety so we can continue to see a stimulus for growth.
Definitely. Well, I do love them. Do you love them?
I do. But I do prefer just a standard deadlift.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
No, good. Nick, next question here comes from Lyndall. And Lyndall writes, unsure if I should cut calories further. My goal is weight loss, but to date have only lost 400 grams in 8 weeks. Training has been on point, missed 4 sessions in 8 weeks. At least 10,000 steps and nutrition at 95%, with allowing myself 2 glasses of wine on Friday and Saturday. I feel much more energetic and my clothes are feeling more comfortable, but with the huge change in activity and nutrition, I was expecting more weight loss. Started at 87.8 kilos and 1,500 calories, now down to 1,300 calories. Should I drop it further or hang in there? I keep waiting for the whoosh, but maybe I am dreaming. Okay, let's break this down, Lyndall. So she starts at 87.8, loses 400 grams. So I'm assuming she's down at 87.4. So 87.8 to 87.4 in 8 weeks. So, doing some very quick math, she might have lost maybe 0.5, 0.6 percent of her body weight. So remember, it's better, more efficient to look at the percentage of weight loss. So in her case, over 8 weeks, if she's lost, let's say for argument's sake, 0.8% of her body weight over 8 weeks, she's lost 0.1% of her body weight per week for 8 weeks. So that's just a simple way to look at it. Okay. We do recommend a weight loss rate of about 0.5 to 1% per week. So she's definitely on the lower end, and she can look at her energy balance. Okay, so firstly, I'm just going to take this post as it is right now and assume that she's absolutely 100% true with everything that she has written. Okay, because there's oftentimes that we should reflect and go, okay, you say that we're eating 1,500 calories is that completely correct? Are you measuring correctly? Are you repeating certain meals? Are you tracking the wine on the weekend? Are you adding that into your calorie intake? Like, is there an error with the energy intake? Because that's a really high spot where we make mistakes, is how we measure things, right? So saying, oh, I consume this many calories, there's a high chance that you don't, not on purpose, simply as you didn't weigh your food correctly or whatever reasons. That's number one. Number two, we need to assume that energy expenditure is correct. You're saying that you're having at least 10,000 steps per day. Again, there's a high chance that our energy expenditure is incorrect, and we can be consistent with 10,000 steps. Might be better to look at the weekly average, because if you're having 10,000 steps on the dot every day, that might be a strange thing to think about. Imagine you, Nick, doing 10,000 steps, and you're getting ready for bed, and you walk into the kitchen, you're like, oh, I've hit 10,000 steps, that's it, no more steps for me, and you get Shane to pick you up and take you to bed, right? Like, that's a strange thing to say, like right on the dot. Of course, there's the ups and downs, but this is what we're talking about now, the ups and downs. Okay, so at the end of the day, we need to assess our energy expenditure, and we can be at a position where we need to either increase our energy expenditure or decrease our energy intake. You're saying, should you decrease your calories? Well, like what we spoke about in Nick's Coach's Corner, we can either choose to increase our energy expenditure through maybe adding some cardio or adding more steps in through the day, or looking at our approach to energy expenditure. Maybe if you improve your intensity in the gym, we're expending more energy in the gym and X, Y, and Z. Or if that's not an option, we can reduce our calories further. I would say that if you are at 1,500 calories and then now down to 1,300 calories, for me, 1,300 calories on a menu looks very small. I would eat 1,300 calories for a dinner, right? So that's me. So if you're saying, Coach Steve, you're on 1,300 calories, I'll be like, are you kidding me? Like, I couldn't eat that throughout the whole day. So maybe someone like Lyndall, like 1,300 calories, are like, yeah, no, that's not going to be fun. We need to look at ways to increase our energy expenditure. So the main takeaways is, number one, we might want to review and do an audit on ourselves, reflect, and be honest and saying, okay, well, no, I'm not tracking the wine that I'm having on the weekend. Nothing wrong with having a glass of wine, but if you're not tracking it, okay, that's extra calories that you're consuming. Are you being completely adherent to your meal plan and being confident that, hey, I'm eating 1,500 calories? Absolutely. Here's my proof. Here's my evidence. Am I doing at least 10,000 steps? Here's my proof. Here's my evidence. More of yourself, right? And then, is there ways that you can increase that energy expenditure? Could you do 12,000 steps? Could you, look at that, overload that concept, training to a point where you're slowing down. Okay, I'm actually reaching a point where my body's struggling and I've got to build some muscle. I've got to recover from this. These are big rocks in our weight loss journey. So simple equation, either increase your energy expenditure or decrease your calories, but there's more moving parts that's probably worth a bit of reflection.
Yeah, definitely. And I love the point about your training intensity, and you do have to have some calories kicking around to maintain that training intensity, which is so important to maintain as much muscle as you can as you diet. So yeah, cutting calories might be for an 80s weight loss plan, but it's not always the best option as your go-to before all the other things that you spoke about.
Yes, that's right. Nick, next question here comes from Stacey. She writes, hi everyone. For those who have completed a challenge from home, what equipment do you recommend for a home gym? I recently moved interstate to a beautiful small town and there's no gym. Grateful for any advice. Thank you in advance. Stacey, let's talk about home gyms. Nick, what advice would you give Stacey about equipment to get?
We love talking about home gyms, don't we? So how long is a piece of string with that sort of a thing? Just say, okay, I'm just going to assume that Stacey's going for gold because she's moved, she's committed to living in a new place that probably, if it's a smallish town, she may have some space. I would say she's probably got a bit of a property. So let's just assume that. And let's assume that she's got some space to then construct the gym of her dreams. Let's go there. I would say it's really important to have a set of dumbbells. Now, we do say the adjustable dumbbells, and that's fantastic. I wonder now, post-COVID and things, if you could actually get even a set of just the normal dumbbells for a pretty good price. I'd be checking that out because they're probably not as high in value as they used to be, and you could probably get those from people who are getting rid of their home gyms. So I'd have dumbbells. I personally would have a barbell. I would have weight plates, as many as you can get your hands on. I personally love to have, I have a squat rack, a power rack. The thing with that particular apparatus is that it was the first thing I chose when they said gyms were closing. I was like, I've got to get myself one of them, because I knew that I could do chin-ups on them on that as well. Plus, all sorts of different interesting exercises as well as my squats. So it's actually really versatile. You can do all sorts of different things with a power rack. So a bench is really important, or something that you can lie down on. And the things, what are they called? Oh my gosh, this is my brain. But the squat rack that you can move around, because then you can use that as a bench press. They're just the two poles.
Just the arms.
Yeah, arms.
Yeah,
arms are good. If you were interested in any type of kettlebells, they're quite good to have as well. And then you get into all sorts of stuff like cables as well. So I think you and I both like cables, don't we? So I'd probably get some cable-y type situations, like one where you could do some sort of a lat pull down. But then also, I must say that I have a hamstring curl and leg extension adjustable bench, which is fantastic as well. So I mean, you can go all the way from that to really just having a couple of dumbbells and a mat, and you can go anything in between and get a really good training session in. It is just going to depend on your budget and what's going on. But I would probably call it a bit of a slow collection, and I would just start collecting items. You don't have to have everything at once. I used an Eskaf for like a year or two as a bench, and that was fine. Now I've got an adjustable bench, which I find to be quite good. You can make it flat, you can make it incline. And I love my barbell, my weight plates, and my dumbbells. And I don't have a whole bunch of dumbbells either. I actually lasted with, I've got a 6, an 8, and a 10. I wouldn't mind getting a 12, and I've got one adjustable one that weighs about 18 kilos. It's like called Big Mama.
Big Mama, I like it.
Yeah. How about you? You've got opinions.
I've got opinions. Yeah, no. I've got a range of little toys, I guess, that I picked up over my time. But the primary bits of equipment that I use the most is, one, I have a squat rack that folds. So the two arms kind of come out and it clips on. You can fold it closed. So it's just a space saver. So I've got a single car garage. So I could kind of fold up my gym and park the car in the single car garage. So I find that really handy. And then because, again, it's a single car garage, if I am doing things like, like a deadlift or something like that, or I need a bit more space, I can fold the squat rack up, and then I can use some floor space. So one, I've got a foldable squat rack. Two, I do a lot of barbell training. So of course I've got a barbell. I've got an Olympic barbell, and I've got the Olympic bumper plates as well. So I have about 260 kilos of plates, and I hope that I can use them all one day, but I can't pick up 260 kilos yet. So that's what I use often. I have went and bought a cable pulley apparatus. It was on eBay for about $25, and that's something that I hook over the top of the squat rack, which has kind of like a little chin-up bar type mechanism at the top, and I can do a lot of cable work with the pulley system that I attach some plates to at the bottom. So I can do a tricep extension, a face pull, like a lat pull down type variation, and a whole range of little things. So I find that really handy. I do have some adjustable dumbbells. I don't actually use them much these days. If I do go to use something that would require a dumbbell, it's usually a small dumbbell, and I'd often just hold the plates in my hand. So if I'm doing like a Y raise or something like that, or a lateral raise, I'll just hold the plates in my hand. So I don't often use a lot of dumbbells, but it's actually the main bit of equipment I'd recommend anybody get is a set of dumbbells, because they're so versatile. You can do almost anything with them. I would say dumbbells over even a bench, because a bench, really all you're using it for is, one, a seat to sit down on, and two, something to lay on to do literally one exercise, a chest press, right? And which you could do a floor press, lay on the floor and do a press like on the floor. So like a bench is nice as a seat, but if you don't have a bench, you could just use a chair. So that's another kind of idea. So if you're thinking about what's the necessary stuff, I would say a dumbbell, number one. if you've got more space, a squat rack. If you don't have much space, maybe a folding squat rack. A barbell, really versatile. Plates, really versatile. A bench to do one exercise, a bench press or chest press or something like that. Or you could use the floor, which is really handy. Cables are really nice to have. A kettlebell, if you like kettlebell swings, but that's probably about it, unless you want to get into the kettlebell world of snatches and presses and windmills and all that stuff. That's its own little area, almost a little bit of a cult in the fitness area, is the kettlebell folk, which I used to be part of. There's nothing wrong with kettlebell folk, but definitely enjoy some kettlebell swings. I've got some kettlebells at home. But it really comes down to budget and space, because you can kit out an awesome, double car garage full of equipment. Some of that equipment you probably use every day. Some of that equipment just collects dust as well. So it really just depends on, again, time, budget, and space.
Yeah, and if the question's to do with our programs, we cater for pretty much everything. So you can filter out what you do and don't have in terms of your equipment, and you can go by that. So you can do home gym, or we even have home gym that's a bit more like a commercial gym. So all sorts of different levels.
That's right. Right. Nick, final question here from Rachel in the forum, and Rachel asks, I have a hard time keeping a regular gym schedule. Should I make up my training whenever I can, or is it important to complete the workouts in a particular order? Okay, I like this question because it's a real question where many of us have some other things going on in our lives. We've got families, we've got work lives, we've got social lives, we've got things on where sometimes we can't make it to the gym on a particular day. Okay, so firstly, we need to highlight that any movement, any exercise is better than no exercise. So if you missed a particular day, you're meant to train on a Monday, and Monday's gone and you missed the day, it's not wise to kind of wipe your hands being like, haha, well, I'm just not going to do my Monday workout. I'm going to keep on going. Like, we still want to be doing some exercise. Some exercise is better than no exercise at all. So that's the first thing we need to highlight. The second thing we need to highlight is that we do need to be intelligent with when we do train, so that we can help manage the fatigue that comes with training. So if you were choosing to train 4 days a week, it's not wise to train on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 4 days in a row, and then have Friday, Saturday, Sunday off, right? We want to be spreading out our training across the week so that we have some intelligence around our approach to training, where we go, okay, I'm going to train on Monday, have a rest on Tuesday, train on Wednesday, have a rest on Thursday, train on Friday, then Saturday, and have a rest on Sunday, and repeat. So we're getting some good rest in between some training sessions so that we can train hard and intelligently. Okay, so there's two parts of the coin, where one, we need to do some exercise, and then two, it's better to have some structure. Okay, so to answer it, should I train, should I make it up, right? Should I make up my training whenever I can? In most cases, yeah, like we want to be making it up so that we can keep some sort of consistency. So if you are choosing to train 4 days a week, we are kind of training 4 days a week, even if it does kind of get compressed one week and then spread out another week. Great, sure. It's better to have a bit more structure. What's even better is that if we are consistently missing workouts because of lifestyle factors, it's better to restructure your training program so that you can commit to it. So instead of saying, well, I want to train 5 days a week, but life is so hectic that I can only get to the gym 2 days a week, we go, okay, well, what if we build a program where you train 2 days a week instead of 5 days a week? So you can commit to that consistently, train on the same day, so you get some consistency, some routine, something to build that foundation on and grow, rather than trying to force it into 5 days or 4 days or 3 days or 7 days, whatever training program you were trying to build. Okay. So within the M Challenge, we have lots of flexibility about what days you choose. But then once we choose what days we want to train, there is some expectation that you're consistent with those days. So if you want to train Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, because that fits with your schedule, we would expect you to train Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday consistently, because once you build that consistency in getting to the gym, that consistency ripples out to other areas of our fitness journey. Like if you can't consistently make it to the gym, how could you consistently be getting your steps in? How could you consistently do your meal prep, or say adherent to your nutrition plan? How could you consistently be getting adequate rest and proper sleep and proper hydration? There's lots of consistency that we're trying to instill within our fitness goals, especially if we're trying to lose as much body fat as we can and gain as much muscle as we can. But we do need to acknowledge the other side of the coin. where we can't be complete gatekeepers and going, well, if you can't do this right, there's no point in doing it all. Something is better than nothing. So, going to the gym, regardless of what day, and doing something, that's still better than absolutely doing nothing. However, we need to acknowledge that for optimalness of this whole thing, we need to have some consistency and some diligence, some responsibility with our schedule. And we understand that life does get in the way. Sometimes we're just simply tired. We wake up tired. Sometimes we, have to go to our, kids' recital at school, and sometimes we have to stay back at work because it's hectic, or sometimes we need to look after our sick parents, or whatever it is. We understand that. But, if we want to make those big changes, we need to find ways to make fitness a part of our everyday lives.
And yeah, don't forget that you can do any workout at any time as well. So if you want to just do whatever you want to do, you can find those workouts on the app at any time just by pressing browse.
That's right. So we have over 120 different workouts, each with different levels, beginning, intermediate, advanced. So 360 different workouts of your choice to choose at any time, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's very good.
Nick, let's wrap it up there for episode number 82 of the Challenge Weekly Show. If you enjoyed this episode, let us know, and we'll catch you next week for episode number 83.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. If you like the show, share it with a friend.
Or leave us a review on iTunes to spread the good word. See you next time.